So from there, we're moving to another startup founder where that did rough in the past, and there's this Yoruba proverb that say if a horse should knock you down, you get back on it. Transliterally like that. If a Yoruba person, you get what I'm trying to say.
I'll not
But
get
yeah.
back on it.
Are you a Yoruba person? You will not get back on it. And you don't want to go to where you are going. I'm talking about Abasi. Abasi Ene-Obong is the former founder of 54 Gene. The genomic.
You're sure founder of 54
Yeah,
Gene.
founder. I think former CEO of 54 Gene, and he's starting another genomic startup. Yeah. Okay. Chief Gosjuni, tell us about it.
I mean, there's nothing
That
there
is
really.
pretty straightforward. This is something that should spark conversation because when you talk about serial entrepreneurs, right? Last week we were talking about Olumide. What's his name again? Dio Olumide.
Yeah.
And we're talking about how many e-commerce startups he has tried before.
Yeah.
Right? Right from the days of Glue, then to Payport. Is it Payport?
No, was Payport on
Paypeka.
Paypeka. Thank you. I knew I was mixing something up. Yeah. And we saw how he has always been in the e-commerce space and he's always looking for what to work, what will work, right? We understand those kind of serial entrepreneur. But if you notice, he has approached the e-commerce thing in different ways, right? So for this person to now be going back into genomics, and we have this idea, and maybe the way 54G turned out gave us the idea that this kind of establishment is a good one, but it requires a long number of years for you to see the impact, because it requires a lot of research and development, and it needs a lot of funds. Yeah. And when VCs are giving you money, they're expecting that returns will be close. You get, and you can't do that with this kind of startup. So I just want us to talk about why it's going back to this kind of
I see.
Startup.
So I'm not holding brief for him. Let me start with that disclaimer. But it's up to you what business you decide to run, really.
Okay.
And should you do a business, or should you get into a sector that is maybe a few years
ahead of his time?
Yeah, it's also up to you. For some reasons, we have people in the US who are trying to work on elongating life, and they are getting funded by VCs, right? Yeah. Is
it really VCs that are funding them?
Yeah, VCs are investing in. So there are specialized VC firms that do health tech. So they do biotechnology investments. It's not the usual software play. Okay. So they just focus on that. Yeah. We have specialized firms in Europe and the US. We are not at the level where we can afford specialized firms in Africa, so you can't have that. Why is he doing it? A lot of reasons, or possible reasons. Maybe he thinks he could do something entirely different. And the way he left 54 Gene doesn't look like an amicable decision, like something he did on his own. So it's not clear exactly the reason he left or the reasons that led to his departure. I suspect there was something wrong, not necessarily with the business model. It was a management issue, probably falling out with investors, falling out with the board, and all of that. That could be the reason, or the major reason he left. And he thinks so. His senior management at the new startup also has someone from 54 Gene. I think two people as well. Where basically some of his team members from 54 Gene are here. If it's very similar to what we are talking about, or it could be similar. Was it corporate governance? I've seen some conversations that look like there were issues with their corporate governance, and basically it's just another reminder that we should start having these conversations, and that they should become more, like, people should start taking them more seriously, because if it's a corporate governance issue that led to his departure, then are you going to fix it in the new company? But as for whether you want to do this, there are other sources of funding beside or beyond venture capital. Maybe he wants to explore that.
I have a theory though. So the thing about people who venture into spaces where you wouldn't normally get a lot of people venturing into is usually a case of they usually feel very strongly about it, right? So what I'm thinking is, you feel strongly about it, and then I would also pose another theory that they probably got the wrong kind of funding at 54 Gene, because like you said, it's something that requires you need a lot of room to research, develop, you need a lot of funding, right? They probably got investors.
Sorry, I would say they got you. You remember that story of that startup that I think it's AI startup. Ubenwa. Yes, you see how long they've been on this research and development. What they are doing is very, very, very like it's going to be groundbreaking and life changing.
Those are businesses at the beginning. They don't even have a business model. There isn't usually a money making model at that start.
Whose fault is that? The VC? Your fault?
No, it's the market.
It's because
it's not really the market.
I think it's because of the kind of solution you're trying to provide. It's not the thing is just like hardware, like the hardware space. One thing I've noticed about the hardware space is that one thing is for you to create the solution. The other thing is for you to now create a way to market it. Most times you see people that have already created the solution. And then the second thing is, it now takes them another 8 years to now discover a way to create that product that people can actually afford, right? So I think it's a very difficult.
I have a different view on that because what's a business model? How you make money? Simple. It's that simple. So in the beginning, you may not have a strict business model. Or you should have a business model, except you're doing a non-profit. If you're not doing a non-profit, you should have a business model. I should see a clear path, because when I'm investing, I'm asking you, okay, this is what you do. I may not understand exactly how it works, or how are you making money from it, or how do you intend to make money from it. If you can't tell me, then we shouldn't be talking really. That's it. So the fact that your business will take a while before it gains widespread acceptance, or maybe for you to get to the point where you're making really good money, it doesn't stop you from having a business model or receiving funding. Why do I say that? Fund cycles are like 10 years. 10 years is a long time, right? And they are just saying, we want to recoup our investment. If you run a proper business, if I give you $1 million, in 10 years at the very least, you should be able to, if you run a proper business, you should be able to give me healthy returns. Now, will you have achieved your goal at that point? Probably not. But you should have still been able to show some progress, right? So, let's say you take the money and you're taking it with the intention that, look, we have a 10-year plan to get to this. These are milestones that we need. Don't take money for a goal you don't like. A goal that isn't clearly defined. That's where I differ. Your hardware solution, that is not a funding problem. It is now you looking at it and saying, okay, we are 10 years away from people being able to afford this product. How do we stay in business until that day when people can afford this?
You keep iterating now.
Yeah, should we target a different segment of the market? So, for example, let's look at what's the name of this electric steel tech, for example. Should we forget about the mass market? We can always work on them. Should we focus on businesses alone? If I focus on businesses, okay, businesses, they probably have more money. Not probably, they have more money than individuals. So maybe we should do that while waiting until the day that customers can. And that's it. It's not you telling me you want to do this one goal like that is so far off in the future that you can't even see. It makes no sense. Isn't it a business model?
I think we should try to close with this, right? From your perspective now, from the arguments you are making, how do you feel the genomics startup in Africa, in the African market, and an African market can make money, either in the short run or in the long run?
First of all, I'm no genomics expert, so I can't tell you how you will make money. What I can tell you is you're the expert. You know every application, or you should know every application of your service, your product. You know how it works, right? Go figure out. Do you want to serve? What market do you want to serve?
The African market?
Yeah.
So
do you want to?
You know, the case I'm trying to make is the fact that whether they have a business model or not, it's a long-term play.
Yes, I'm not disputing that.
Yeah, so
but the fact that it's a long-term play doesn't mean you should not start.
Yeah, they should start.
That's what I'm saying.
So where we're coming
from
from is the side of the investors.
Mm-hmm.
Given the way the amount,
nobody's holding a gun to
how many
your head.
funding cycles that startups have to make, like Series A, seed, pre-seed, Series A, Series B. Some of them will even raise Series F and still go and shut down.
There's no one that says you must raise X amount of money. It's a very simple thing. You're building a business.
But it's capital intensive.
It still doesn't. Are you going to be the first person to build a capital intensive business?
What I'm saying, what I was trying to say is, you probably got investors that were
not the long term
for. I mean, me, I'm looking at it from this perspective now. What if, how long has Flutterwave been around? It's not up to a decade.
Not yet.
It's not up to a decade, but then I'm sure the investors have been getting returns. But then imagine a business.
Except you're the earliest investor.
Okay, but imagine a startup where after 10 years there's still no returns, and they still need to keep raising. Not even
this is not crypto.
VC
funding is not crypto.
Eh?
This is not crypto that you're buying and trading crypto. You know how investors get their money back, Abi. Now, the fact that I invested in you, my options of getting my money back is an exit or an acquisition. What question you could be asking now is, should I be building a genomic startup to sell to a big biotechnology company in the US? Or should I just build for myself? If you don't, that's an option for you. You can build to sell to a big tech company in the US. It's an option for your investors. So maybe you do not need to wait for like the next 25, 30 years. You just build over the next 10 years and sell.
I think we should.
I don't want to blame the investors because we've not seen any indication. These days I'm typically on the side of the investors for some reason. Maybe because I write a lot about them, but it's because it's not always the investor that is doing you. It's not investor that will give you a business model. Of course, some of them can be silly and just be giving out money without too much due diligence or that. But you're the one who has to come up with the business. The investor is not the expert. He doesn't run your business day to day. You may have specialized firms where maybe the investor has like 30, 40 years of experience in this sector. But ultimately, you do the work. So go figure out how you want to run a genomic startup in Africa and then come to the investor. Don't go to the investor and then start figuring out how you want to run a genomic. You won't be the first person. Like, look at Jumia.
Yeah.
Not a very good example, right? But they came long before e-commerce became acceptable. Yeah. And they made the mistake of going, like, they could have raised way less money than they've done and still stayed alive. Beating their time for when Africans are ready for e-commerce. So basically, don't build your business for an investor. Build your business because you want to solve a problem or because you want to live a good life. That's also a valid reason. But really, don't build it for an investor.
Okay. She was doing dropping gems for us.
I know.
We will carry this argument to behind the camera.